everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. 2020. What a year.
What a year.
What a year.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Excuse me? That's not the line.
Anyway.
I'm changing it up. We don't have to do it the same way every time.
I want to add a little spice.
Yeah.
Sorry. I meant to yes and, but.
Yeah, but but.
I reacted in anger. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. So anyways, to start us off, I have a funky little election-based question.
Wow, because we're only a week out from the election.
A week away.
I know, isn't that crazy?
What's your question, Andy?
Okay, so aside from, like, the red, white, and blue, if you had your own political party, what color would you run with?
Ooh.
Purple.
Yeah.
See, I knew Lindsey was going to say purple, but I feel like purple is such a good color in general
Yeah.
that I also want it to be purple.
But you don't want a dirty purple with politics.
Okay, here's the thing. But that's a good point.
Right.
Forest green.
No, you can't do forest green.
So I can't do any color that I like.
No, forest green is like my favorite color. You can't do forest green because then it's just gonna.
You should do
There's
pink.
already there's a green party.
Oh, I'll be the forest green party.
It can be the different shades of green party.
50 Shades of Green.
I would do. What would I do?
I would do just like
Beige.
gray. Yeah, like beige, like gray. It's just something so boring.
I think yellow would be a fun and funky color.
Yellow would be a fun and funky color, in fact. Orange. Now we're just naming colors.
Yellow's like that. You can't say orange. Jackson wants that one.
Yeah, you're right.
Jackson, if you're listening.
Jackson, if you're listening,
We're taking orange.
miss you. Jackson, if you're listening, poo poo pee pee.
All right.
Can I ask a second question? Because I did have a second one queued
Sure.
up already.
All right.
Please do.
What's your ideal doorknob? Like, mine would be like one of the ones that you like. It's like the longer ones that you like push down on instead of like turning.
Yeah.
You know?
Like a front door kind of knob.
Yeah.
I would say something that's like very like Victorian or Gothic.
Yeah, I
that's
was going to
sexy.
say like, have you ever been to like a grandma's house where they have like a crystal doorknob on the bathroom?
Yeah.
That's what I would mean.
That's hot. That's hot.
Yeah.
But just like on your front door.
Michael
Which is-
has a god mic. Michael, you have a god mic. You can answer.
Go ahead and
Michael.
answer the question, Michael.
I would also go with the one that Karina just said.
The fancy crystal
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
the one, yeah.
Wait,
Awesome.
I actually, mine would be
Also the crystal one.
No. You walk up to my house. It is just a regular looking suburban house. Okay.
There's no door.
There's no house.
It's a revolving door. No. You walk up, you reach for the doorknob, you grab it.
It's your hand.
No. You're like, this doesn't feel like a doorknob. You look down. It's the head of a baby doll.
Ew.
Either that or it's a rubber duck.
And when you squeeze it, it squeaks.
It's just a dog toy.
Ew. Great. Glad we got that.
Good question.
Yeah, good
it's
question.
a whole
Good
half of a
question.
lemon.
Okay, one last question before we introduce the episode.
Okay. Let's do it.
Michael, what's your favorite sound effect on that board?
Sound effect. Can I play it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is also my favorite sound effect. Thank you.
That's very good.
It's very good.
Anyways, so today we have a very special guest on the podcast.
I do.
Mrs. Elizabeth Hernandez,
Yes.
who is running for Texas 8, the seat on Congress.
Okay.
And yeah, she's very kindly agreed to an interview with us. So this also is part of a little 2-part series we're doing, interviewing both Elizabeth Hernandez and Karina's mother, Karina Kamyshin.
Yes.
And so it's going to be super cool. So go ahead and give us a listen. So we're going to go ahead and give her a call right now.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast. Can you hear us?
I apologize. I got caught up picking an order in a store, and anyhow.
Oh, you're
I'm
totally
here. I'm
fine.
available. I'm ready to talk.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Sick.
It's so great to meet you. So, my name is Karina.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Lindsey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys.
So we just
Thank
wanted
you for inviting me.
of course.
Thank you for agreeing.
Yeah, seriously, we tried to get Kevin Brady, but he
said no.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, if you don't mind, we just wanted to ask you just like a couple questions. We have a question of the day.
I must apologize before I ask this, but I am actually legally required by law to ask a dumb question to every guest we have on the show. And today's dumb question is, if you were a type of shoe, what shoe would you be?
Gosh, I'll make this hard. Well, I like comfortable shoes.
Okay.
And I'm a pretty relaxed person, I think. So I would say my Nike walking shoes or running shoes that I wear.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Heck
That's a
yeah.
good one. That's a good one.
Just do it, you know?
Yeah, just do it.
Yep.
All right, so
Yep. My motto in life is where there's a will, there's a way. So, you know.
oh, I love
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I live in the Woodlands. I've been here for almost 5 years. I have 3 children. My youngest is 5. She just started kindergarten. I have a son that will be turning 13 on Election Day.
Oh, wow.
And a daughter that will be, or is 15, I'm sorry. She just turned 15 in August and just started high school.
Wow.
And I graduated from Sam Houston State University in August with my accounting degree. I was really excited to hear that y'all were reaching out because education is important to me. I love supporting the schools, and I'm actually going to be taking a couple of classes at Lone Star so that I can sit for my CPA exam.
Oh, wow.
So I've got, I think, 7 hours that I need to fulfill to be able to sit, and so that'll be coming up.
Maybe we'll
soon.
see you around.
Yes. So depending on how the election goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking about college, we were just kind of wondering what your college experience was like. Maybe when you were in your 20s, or since you said you just recently graduated, like how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I graduated from high school in 2001. I took off about 1 year. I was working full time. Decided, I need to go back to school. It's, in this day and age, you can't really get too far without an education. So I started going back to school part-time at San Jacinto Community College in the evenings while working full-time. So I never had the, traditional college 4-year experience living on campus. I worked full-time, went to school at night, and then, kids came along and I took some breaks, sometimes years of breaks. But I've spent my entire school career working full-time and going to school. It was hard. I usually before I had kids, I probably took about 9 hours. I never really took off in the summers. And once I had children, I started taking 6 hours. And it was difficult, juggling, work life, school life, family life. My kids, had to sacrifice a lot because, I would work, and then 2 nights a week I was going to school, and then I still had to study for tests and get, schoolwork done. And, but I enjoy going to school. I'm all about learning new things, and, my favorite part by far was my, I guess you could say my last 2 years, because it was those courses that were really focused on my degree, and I just love accounting. So it wasn't like work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that saying, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And so I enjoyed those the most, versus the English and philosophies.
Right. That's so funny.
They were required.
You're talking to a bunch of art students, so I think we kind of had the opposite problem.
Oh, yeah. Try to take one math class. Can't do it.
So actually, that kind of brings us into our next question. We were kind of wondering what your thoughts are on the college debt and like maybe steps to even like fix it or what to do about it.
Yeah. Being somebody that has a lot of that college debt, I think we need to make public education more accessible and more affordable. I think too many students are, coming out of school and they have that huge debt hanging over them, for many, many, many years. And I think at a very minimum, we should be offering free college for a minimum of 2 years, if not for the full 4 years. It's giving everybody an equal opportunity to be successful, which I think, is something everybody deserves. I don't think it should be such a struggle to go to schools. That's personally one of the reasons that I took so long to graduate and didn't get to do the whole 4-year thing. My parents couldn't really afford to pay for me to go to college. And so I had to kind of pay my own way. And I mean, who knows, I'm 37 years old at this point. Who knows where I would be if I had been able to, knock out my degree early on. So, I definitely think something needs to be done about the debt of students right now. Also providing more incentives for some other professions. There's some incentives for teachers if you go into teaching. But we have a real shortage of mental health care providers, psychologists and psychiatrists. And that's a huge problem in Montgomery County, in the Woodlands specifically. And, I personally, my son has a psychiatrist, and I remember looking for a doctor for him. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
So I think we need to kind of expand on those incentives for those professions where, we're needing more social workers and those types of fields, which is important for, everyday health and mental health. And I would really love to say we need to, at a minimum, also eliminate the interest that is being charged for the student debt to help students, pay that off sooner. And that would definitely be something I would advocate for. But I really feel strongly we need to that's only going to help the people that have already, incurred that debt. But going forward, we need to look at more free public education on a higher level, not just at the lower level.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you're talking about, like your kind of different college experience, because all three of us right now are at community college and doing things differently than the typical 4-year university.
Right.
And so like hearing that from someone who is currently running for Congress is super, super cool.
I 100% advocate for community college. I even tell my daughter, the first 2 years you're doing, kind of the basics, and it's just not necessary on any level, I don't think, to pay, thousands of dollars to take an English class at the university.
Agreed.
Just not necessary. And if I could, I would go to community college for the other 2 years.
Exactly.
To be honest, it's just not an option at this point. So no, it's smart thinking. Why pay thousands when you can pay hundreds?
Right. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I have another question regarding something I read on your website about how you would plan on running the country as a business instead of a Ponzi scheme. And I think that ties back in a lot to the 2016 election, how Trump talked about how he was going to run the country as a business. And that was a lot of kind of the appeal for him, was because he was a businessman before a politician. We all kind of see how that has gone.
Yeah.
And so how do you think it would be on a congressional level different?
Yeah, it's not gone so great for him. Of course, I don't think many people paid attention to his actual business history.
Right.
How unsuccessful he was at doing that.
Exactly.
But it's not so much that I want to run it like a business. It's when you think about what my opponent, he authored Tax Cuts and Job Act, which is basically the tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations and his donors. If you're thinking about it, because the government is not a business. We're here to provide services for the people, the citizens that live here and the people that live here. And to do that at the most, efficient, quality manner. But when you're looking at things as a business, you would never, as a business, go in and say, "Hey, we're going to cut our revenues," And that's what we did with the taxes. So we slashed our revenues, meaning we stopped taxing the very wealthy people. And the GOP, they want to claim all the time that, we can't afford things like free college, or we can't afford to expand on Medicaid or health care for all, Medicare for all. And that's just not true. I mean, if you're from a business standpoint, they made really bad decisions. They're cutting revenues and then claiming poverty, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You can't cut prices, and especially when times are good. You know, when you're booming, we should be using that time to pay off the debt that we have incurred, you know, which is now up to $27 trillion.
Right.
And that was $19 trillion when Trump went into office.
Wow.
And I think he made claims that he was going to pay off the debt in 8 years? 8 years. And he hasn't paid anything off. If anything, he's increased it. And this is before COVID, because before COVID hit, we were already at $23 trillion. So I'm not necessarily saying I want to run the country like a business in the way he's saying. I think we need to keep our prices, you know, our revenues where they are. We probably need to cut some spending in areas like our military is. I think we spend way too much money on our military.
Yes, agreed.
But we can't lose money. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Love everything you're saying.
Yes.
Yes.
I 100% agree.
Lindsay?
All right, so I have a question for you. So I was wondering, regardless of your religious views, do you think that you can appropriately represent people of all faith? And do you agree that religion should be kept far from government?
Yes, I do agree. And I am a Christian. But yeah, it just, you know, it breaks my heart sometimes when I talk to people that are voting Republican, and the one reason they are doing that is because they don't believe, you know, in abortion.
Right.
And that to me is a religious issue. And, you know, Christian or not Christian, I mean, it's not my place to tell you or to impose my religious beliefs on somebody else. And that's basically what they're trying to do. So I absolutely believe it should be separate. I don't think religion and politics should ever, you know, merge at all.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, great point. So I have another question for you about being a woman in politics. How has that kind of shaped your experience, like getting even started, like when you decided you wanted to be a politician? How did you overcome that kind of challenge?
Yeah, it's been an interesting experience. So I'm not a politician. I've never been in politics. My background's accounting. And, you know, one of the reasons I decided to step up, well, a lot of reasons, but, you know, I want better for my children. I want better for the future generations. Obviously, seeing everything that was going on with, you know, Trump's election. Brady, I don't think is good for the people. He's, you know, beholden to his donors. I mean, if you go look at his donor records, people that donate to him aren't from Texas 8. They're, you know, corporations that have financial interests. And it's always about money for them. It's always about money, not the people. And so I decided to run without any, you know, political experience. And I don't think political experience is required. I mean, I'm running to represent the people in our district. And one way to represent the people is to, you know, be able to sympathize with people, be able to be willing to hear them out. I'm willing to hear from both sides. You know, I don't think it's a good idea to ever surround yourself with people that think like you all the time.
Right.
Because, you know, then you never grow. And so just the whole process and the whole experience has definitely been a learning experience. I've learned to get out of my comfort zone. Believe it or not, I really dislike public speaking. So I remember having to take speech at San Jack, and I mean, it just eats me up inside thinking that, oh my God, I have to stand in front of people and talk. And so I've had to kind of overcome that. And of course, the more I do it, you know, the more practice you get, the better you are at something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's obviously been a very different type of election with COVID. So that may be a good thing for me, maybe not, I don't know, because, you know, I did speaking engagements before, you know, in the primary, but since we won the primary, it's been a lot of Zoom. And so,
Right.
you know, Zoom is a lot easier to you're not looking at hundreds of people staring at you. You can minimize your screen if you want to. You know? But as a woman, I don't know. I've never let the fact that I'm female get me down in any way. I think if you're passionate about something, you should pursue it no matter what. I know I'm smart enough. I know I have the will to fight and not give up. And that's just my personality. Mm-hmm. So, my advice to any female is if you're, skeptical or you're like scared, everything new is scary, but what do you have to lose? If you don't try, you'll never know what could have happened. So, I think it's important that women in general, whatever the goal is or whatever their passion is, to pursue it and try. Politics is a male-dominated area, but the people are definitely showing interest in having more diversity in politics. Right. As a Hispanic female, it's twofold. We need more people of color in Congress, and we need more women. It's not right. Who wants a Congress full of men representing issues that affect women?
Right.
Exactly. To that.
Exactly.
Or both. Both.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely scary to think about. The majority of people making decisions for me are like old white men, and I don't like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, do you have student debt? Have you been a single mother wondering how you're going to feed your children,
mm-hmm.
or how you're going to take your kid to the doctor when they get sick? Because I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's important that we have, let me just say this real quick. It's important that we have everyday people that are willing to say, you know what, I want to make a difference. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when you see injustice, you step up. It's so important that we have more people willing to step up. And it is a big ask. I didn't realize I would have to say I have a new respect for politicians or anybody that's running for an office. And not the people that just put their name on the ballot and don't do anything. The people that actually try to work and get in front of people and talk to people. It's a job. It's work. But it's very rewarding, very rewarding to hear people's stories and at the end of the day, that you're fighting for something, that's worth it, that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have one final question. How does, because so us three, we're all early 20s. This is our first presidential election that we're able to vote in. So both on a presidential and a congressional level, how do you feel that this campaign has, or this election has compared to ones in the past? Because, the intensity of it feels the urgency feels very much, sorry, I'm tripping over my words. This feels like a big one, but
yes. It's the election of our lifetime. You hear that all the time. It's probably one of the most important elections of our lives. It's definitely for me, and it would be for y'all right now. And I hope there's never another one this important, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it's, one of the things our campaign has been doing is lit dropping. We haven't been knocking on doors because of COVID, and I don't know where people are on that, and if people are going to be hesitant about somebody, some stranger knocking on the door. But we have been lit dropping, a flyer with just some information about me, because we're trying to spread the word that, I'm here. People in Texas 8 have a choice. It has been very common that Brady either doesn't have an opponent, or not regularly. He, often has not been opposed. And true democracy is not going to be achieved when the people don't have a choice. And so I've been really trying to spread the word to every house, that I'm here. This is who I am. You have a choice. And this year, we don't know how Republicans are voting. So
Yeah, I
it
saw a
doesn't
sign
make
on the
sense
highway
for me to
today.
sit there and, it doesn't make sense for me to sit there and target Democratic houses with literature. I mean, the Democrats are going to vote for me. I mean, they'd be crazy not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that are
you're right.
independent, it's the independents and the GOP or the Republicans that are obviously not happy with how things are going right now. And I mean, we can't, I don't know how we will make it with another 4 years of Trump, to be honest. I mean, it's just,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
scary.
I mean, it's going to take years for us to crawl out of the mess that we're in as it is. And if we have this for another 4 years, I'm also a little concerned about, the results of this election, how Trump's going to respond to losing, how, white supremacists are going to respond to losing.
Yeah.
I just read an article yesterday. I don't know if y'all have seen it. Abbott has ordered some troops to go to some of the larger cities in Texas post-election.
I
I
did
did
not
because
not
they're
know that.
expecting.
That's really
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah.
if
Very
you
scary.
Google it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
and
gosh.
they've said, I think they've deployed 1,000 troops.
That's
This is
terrifying.
like Texas
my
troops.
God.
Wow.
They've said they're going to Austin, where the capital is, and San Antonio right now is what I've heard. But there's anticipation that they will more than likely be coming to Dallas, Houston, and I think there was one more city. I can't remember. So, yeah. They're claiming they're just going to guard buildings like they did after the Floyd incident. But,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I had
one
no
thing
idea.
I will say with campaigning, and we do run into some people when we're lit dropping, and I've been able to see firsthand the anger and divisiveness that some Republicans show. I mean, they get angry and cuss at you and yell at you. And I mean, I had one guy one time, we dropped the flyer at his house. We had already moved on from his house, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. And he drove around his neighborhood to come find us and curse at us and yell at us and tell us not to be putting our crap on his door. And it's like, I would never do that. Like, why so much hate?
Yeah, if you don't
You
like
know,
it, just
it's the product.
throw it away.
Just throw it away.
Yeah, just chill.
But it's the product of years of divisiveness cultivated by the Fox News. It's these people that all they do is watch Fox News and they hear this fear mongering and the same things over and over, negative, hate.
And everyone's yelling on Fox
Yeah.
News.
Constantly.
It's scary because, like, I mean, my dad is a Republican, unfortunately, and we went to like the Black Lives Matter protests in Houston, and my dad was talking after I got back. He didn't know that I had gone, and he was talking about how violent it had gotten and how like there was looting and rioting in the
my
streets.
gosh.
And I was like,
We were there.
I literally told him, I was like, Dad, we were there. There wasn't
There
violence.
wasn't.
There wasn't until
Until the end of
started.
the day.
They started sending in busloads of like SWAT police.
I have pictures of it. And you know what my dad said to me? He looked at me and said, I don't believe you. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous
Wow.
that, like,
Even from a firsthand experience from his own daughter, he didn't believe what
yeah.
someone says just because it didn't fit his agenda. It's scary.
Yeah, that's terrible. There's a documentary, you should look it up, on Netflix, I believe. It's called The Brainwashing of My Dad.
Oh, my God.
And it actually talks about how it's a woman's account, and she's actually talking about her dad. Like he basically changed, and she's kind of discussing what was happening that was causing this change. And a lot of it had to do with the type of media that he was watching.
I definitely
I don't know
want
what
to
your
watch
dad
that.
watches,
He
but
watches Fox News.
yeah.
He's
Wow,
also
we'll
a
definitely look into
conspiracy
that.
Yeah,
theorist.
there you go.
So,
So,
I
yeah,
guess
it's called Brainwashing of My Dad.
All right,
yeah,
I wrote that down.
I'll definitely watch that. That sounds very interesting. So before we let you go, we just wanted to know if you had anything that you wanted to say to like college students, any closing advice, anything that you just want to share a message or anything.
Well, definitely look me up. I know y'all have checked out my website.
I voted
but
for
it
you.
is Liz
Yeah.
for Texas 8. It's LIZFORTX, the number 8.com. If anybody has questions, email me. If you have comments, email me or call me. All my contact information is public on my website, and I definitely try to make myself available to respond. After this election's over, I'm not going anywhere. We plan to run in 2022 because, Montgomery County it's the largest county in Texas 8, and I would not be surprised if it's one of the last to turn blue.
Mm-hmm.
It is very red, but it's changing. This area is changing. People are changing. We have the young, college students, the people that have just turned 18 that are able to vote. And at the end of the day, the future of this country it's about y'all. Y'all are the future. So please reach out to me. Vote. It's so important that you register to vote and vote. Run for office. Anyone can do it, not just the old white men. And if anybody decides to run for anything, including local politics, because local politics is where it's almost more important than that federal stuff, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the local politics, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but the Tea Party kind of started to infiltrate Montgomery County, and they started at the local, in the townships, at the MUDs, and the school boards, and all of that. The local politics is kind of what affects your daily lives. That's the stuff that you see, all the time. I mean, I'm running for Congress to kind of help on a grander scheme with the bigger things, but there are programs and things like that set up, at the local level. So I encourage all of y'all to run for office.
Yeah.
And reach out to me when you decide to. We can, I can help.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you
Awesome.
so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
being on this podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time out to just talk to us. And thank you so much.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Well, I'm sorry that my opponent did not reach out to y'all. But I'm sorry.
It's all right. You're more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that's a fact. Well, y'all have a great day, and y'all have a great rest of the semester. And hopefully COVID will be gone by the time y'all graduate.
We can only hope.
Yes.
You could have normal graduation.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thank you so much to Elizabeth Hernandez for that lovely interview. I think it was very eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate her very much.
Yes. Should send her like an edible arrangement or
Yeah.
something. Will Lone Star fund that? Emmy says no.
Okay.
Womp, womp, womp.
Womp womp.
So anyways, before we go, make sure to follow us on social media at LSC-M Arts on Instagram, as well as our YouTube is Lone Star College of Montgomery Visual and Performing Arts, and it's the same on Facebook. As well as follow me on Instagram. It's andy.drew_. Please.
Don't follow me on Instagram. In fact, don't perceive me.
I second that.
Karina and Lindsey are simply the voices in my
Yes.
head. They are not actually real.
I am
We're
not
not real.
Yeah.
I'm just a very talented voice actress.
Do not know me or perceive me in any way.
There was never 3 people on this podcast. It was always just Andy.
Andy,
Yeah.
can you hear them right now?
I can. Emmy's
All
over there
right.
like, Emmy's on the couch like, Andy, can you please wrap it up?
They
Stop
just let
talking to
her
yourself.
use the space to talk to herself.
Very kindly. All right, everyone, 3-part harmony on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.